Welcome to Untold, the business podcast bringing you the best kept secrets of Utah. Small business in Utah is dynamic and a major driver of economic growth. Utah is the #1 state in small business growth over the past 25 years. About half of employment in the state is through small businesses. Untold brings you up close and personal stories from amazing Utah businesses. With me today is Tom Jackson, Chairman and CEO of Steel Encounters, and about 29 years with Steel Encounters. Is that right, Tom?
Right. That's correct. Yes.
Welcome. Yeah, I would love for you to introduce us to Steel Encounters. But first, I watched a video on Steel Encounters YouTube channel called I Love Steel Encounters. It
Mhm.
really made an impression on me. I would love to hear about that video and then about Steel Encounters.
Excellent. Yeah. So that video is an employee story of what it's like to work at this company. And I believe in the video, there's a place where an employee is driving through town with his family and they're looking at the different projects that we've built around the city.
Mm.
And that's a lasting legacy of that employee's work to his family. It's kind of like, hey, grandpa worked on, or great grandpa worked on the Golden Gate Bridge or something like
Right,
that.
yeah.
And so for kids and grandkids to know that their parent participated in some of these landmark projects around the city, that was an opportunity to capture that. And then some of the fun that we have here at Steel Encounters, our employee culture, from the silliness of celebrating each other's birthdays to um, our annual summer barbecue that we have in the parking lot, pancake breakfast in the fall to get ready to move into the winter season, our company parties that have been at Lagoon and um, our Seattle office, the Mariners games, things like that. So
Mhm.
it's a recruiting video, but it's from the employees that work here sharing their experience, what it's like to be at Still Encounters.
Yeah, it was great. It was really genuine. A whole lot of, a whole bunch of different employees, giving perspectives. One of the things that stood out too is they mentioned, I think, ESOP program, employee owned. I would love to come around to that, but
Yes.
first, maybe before we get to that, I would love to hear just about what is it Steel Encounters does, and where are some of these things that people could see that put their hands on or put their
Sure.
eyes on that you guys have done.
So Steel Encounters is a specialty subcontractor. We're not a general contractor.
Okay.
We have two revenue divisions. One is structural steel joist and deck, which we don't fabricate or install. We sell it. I believe we sold it in 19 states last year. We sold and shipped product to. Then the other division of the company is what we call the architectural division,
Okay.
which is the building envelope, the glass and metal exteriors of um, generally it's commercial buildings, hospitals, stadiums, office buildings, and occasionally we do some very high-end residential, and then of course also condominiums and high-rise apartment complexes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you see these walls of glass and steel, putting that together, designing and installing those is kind of what you guys specialize in. Is that
It
right?
is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, tell me about, maybe, is there something you draw people's attention to in Utah, that they would look for to see signature work that you guys have done?
Oh boy, there's a lot. From Rice Stadium up at the University of Utah,
Yeah.
which was where the opening and closing ceremonies for the 2002 Olympics were.
Mm.
That was a great project for us. But in the city itself, we just completed the Astor Tower. It's a 450-foot tall residential apartment building. It's the tallest building in the city.
Oh,
And then just a few blocks from there, the Worthington project, which was another high-rise apartment complex. From an office standpoint, 111 Main, 95 State, the Gateway Tower, 222 South Main. We've been privileged to participate in a lot of the premier office space in downtown Salt Lake City. We've also done a lot of medical work. We've done lots of projects up at Huntsman
oh,
Cancer
Huntsman. Yeah.
and the University of Utah Hospital and Intermountain Healthcare, the campus on 53rd South. We worked on 11 buildings on that campus during the
Oh,
buildup
wow.
of that work. And so um, just looking at a list here, Adobe, which you see from the freeway, the Adobe campus
Oh, point of the mountain there.
at
Yeah.
Point of the Mountain, that was another
Mhm.
special project. Um,
Wow.
yeah, there's been quite a few. eBay campus, the Overstock Peace Coliseum in Midvale, that was a
Yeah.
special job. And then we've done some out of work or out of state work, like the IO condominiums in Honolulu. That was a 41-story gorgeous building that we did with Leighton Construction several years ago. Kapiolani Medical Center in Hawaii. So we haven't just stayed in Utah. We've traveled to a lot of other states to perform work for customers from Utah that
Okay.
took us there.
So I noticed, there was another video that that described a little bit of what goes into this. That was called "It's Only a Window." So I'll link some of these videos we're talking about to
Great.
in the show notes. But tell me a little bit about, like, for somebody who just sees, yeah, it's glass. Okay, like,
Okay.
tell me
Yeah.
what is it that goes into this that maybe people don't know.
Well, that particular video, it's only a window, I had created because a customer said to me, why is this product so expensive? It's only a window.
Mm,
And so I wanted to tell the story of what goes into building these jobs, the engineering, the quality assurance programs that need to be put in place, both in shop drawings, in fabrication, and in installation.
mm.
It's not easy. But what our goal is to make the difficult look easy.
Oh,
Sometimes there are very difficult projects to install, and we want to leave a legacy of completing those and seamlessly as much as we possibly can. And I think we've been very successful at that over the years. So,
wow, that's cool. It's really neat too, and I was watching that video of "I Love Steel Encounters," how, because your product's on the outside,
yes,
right? You can see it. People can really point at it. A lot of times, I have friends who are, yeah, who are in the construction business. They could just point to the building, but it's like they really worked on the structural steel or but you kind of creating the package, almost
yes.
I think you referred to it as an envelope
Yep, the
earlier.
building envelope or building
Mhm.
enclosure.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
really cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I'd like to come back around to another thing mentioned in that video about the employee-owned aspect of Steel Encounters. So tell me, tell me about that. How long has it been employee-owned, and how did it get that way?
Well, this year is the 40th anniversary of the company.
Hmm.
And 20 years ago, the three gentlemen that owned most of the shares of the company were looking for a way to exit the company, but they didn't want to sell to somebody else
Yeah.
because they cared about the employees. And they wanted the employees and the culture to remain this great culture that they had built,
Mm.
right? So we started the employee ownership journey, and it took, actually, we started in 2005, so it was 20 years ago that this began. We became 100% employee owned in 2023. And so the significance of this is everyone who works here has the opportunity to receive shares in the company as part of a retirement program.
Okay.
Now, here's what's great about this program. The employees aren't buying anything. It's from the profit of the company that the employee stock ownership plan is funded
Okay.
in the employee's retirement. So we've done very well. We've contributed over, I think we're pretty close to about $25 million the company has paid directly into contributions to our ESOP program
And
in the
then
20 years.
is that kind of like a 401k that then compounds those contributions then for the employee compound in that account for retirement?
Well, it's similar in that it's an ERISA program.
Okay.
However, the contributions are made once a year. And so the employees receive growth in two ways. The contributions, which we are setting at 10% of the employee's annual salary,
Okay.
plus the growth of the shares. And so
Mhm.
every year we have an independent valuation of the company done based on our past performance, the real estate that we own, and our the backlog and future projections of how profitable the company will be in the future. And then the valuation firm comes back with a stock price, which is approved by our trustee.
Okay.
So it's not the board and it's not
It's
the
not
executive
arbitrary or
setting the share
internal.
price. It's
Okay.
done by an independent valuation. And so since inception, the share price of the company has grown, boy, probably 13 or 14 times what the original value was 20 years ago.
Wow.
It's
Wow. That's
significant.
impressive. So, so essentially through some external agencies and audits help you to set a share price, right? In a publicly traded company, the share price would be set by supply and demand,
Correct.
but because it's not publicly owned, you guys have another mechanism where you set the share price that determines the value of what the stock that the employees hold
That's
is
absolutely
at.
right.
Okay. Okay. Really cool. Interesting. Um, so clearly, right? I mean, employee owned the employees, you're putting 10% of their salary into an account. Um, they clearly have skin in the game. Right. So
Clearly have skin in the game.
how does that show up? Like, what do you see in Steel Encounters as a reflection of that?
Well, we try to, well, there's really two parts to it. There is a lot of transparency. In our annual meeting, the employees see how we performed our previous year
Okay.
financially. They see the stock strike price every summer, and then their accounts are updated. And we celebrate that with a stock announcement party, share price
Ooh,
announcement. So, but one of the things that we see with everyone having a share in this, I'm just going to make up a simple number, okay? Let's say that we want to have a 5% net profit,
okay.
okay? So if an employee can save $5, that's the same as bringing in $100 of business.
Oh, yeah.
It's that simple. But that's an easy way to teach business to everyone in the company, whether it's the cost of printing something at the color printer or the cost of a piece of machinery that's idle on a job site. Our foremen are very aware if equipment is idle on a job site, they're losing money.
So so by default with this program, right? People are owners,
They
and
are owners.
you're teaching them how to act like owners.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wow. Well,
Yeah,
how
every
else?
person is a business person in this company.
Incredible. So how else do you support people in, because that's not automatic, right? I mean,
No.
so how else do you get get that ethic or that mindset, right, for people to act
Sure.
like owners?
So our mission statement is six simple words.
Okay.
building successful partners and employee owners. And so our partners are everyone outside the company that we do business with. It can be our bonding agent, insurance people. It can be a general contractor, customer, building owner, everyone outside. We want to have successful business relationships with everyone. And we talk about this frequently. Everyone knows this within the
Okay.
company. But I like to shorten those 6 words to 4 simple words: building successful employee owners.
Oh.
And to me, there's 3 pieces to that. First is the financial well-being of the employee in their wage, their annual bonus, which is separate from their uh, ESOP contribution. Those are two things. And then their retirement benefit. So we make a lot of effort to educate our employees about retirement and preparing for the future. And so we have a Dave Ramsey class that we
Oh.
teach on an annual basis. We want to invite the employees and their spouse to come to it because I truly believe that the two of them are
Mhm.
partners in their future and they need to share a vision to how they're going to get there. And
Yeah.
so we've seen people pay off debt. Um, I've seen people pay off their homes early. That's just part of the education piece. So that first part is financial. The second is their health and well-being. And so uh, we engage with an employee assistance program that we have an app on our phone, a Still Encounters app that has links to it. The employees can fill out their time cards through the phone. They can also get in touch with our employee assistance provider,
Yeah.
and we pay for counseling if they want premarital counseling or marriage counseling or financial, or even helping an aging parent
Mm.
and how to help them. So that's part of it. That's the second part, that
Yeah.
their health and wellness, right? And then the last part to me is giving opportunities to our employees to grow, to maybe get a promotion or to make more money, or and some people are very content where they are, and that's
Mhm.
great. We love them and we're glad for their contributions, but there are some that want more.
Yeah.
And so we have some training programs and some other opportunities to help people to grow to that next level, um, whether it's as a detailer or a project manager
Right.
or something else that they want to grow into. We want to help them get there. And our
So you
job
have,
descriptions are written this way, um,
okay.
and our employee development plans are part of
Okay.
that.
So
So
you have
that's what
employee
it means to
development
me.
plans and like a framework that people can see how they can develop their careers.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, in the field, we started in 2018. We launched an apprenticeship program for our glazers. The glazers are the craftspeople that install these amazing curtain walls and glass and
Yeah.
fabricate them. Okay.
Yeah.
So we launched a program and applied to the Department of Labor to have it become a bona fide journeyman blazer program.
Okay.
And so we put together a team with HR and project management and field management, and we studied programs around the country through glass associations and through unions, and we built the program and submitted it, got it approved. And then in 2019, so let me back up. In 2018, we launched the program with 20 of our employees,
Right.
20 of our glazers. But it wasn't sustainable for a small company like Still Encounters to start another one the next year and another one the next year.
Uh,
It would have been staggering for us, too much, right?
okay.
So I reached out to our competitors, and with the help of a young guy here who's like the do everything, get everything done type person, because he did all this work for the Department of Labor, and to incorporate our glass association. But we had a meeting, we invited 70 people.
Uh-huh.
The president of the National Glass Association joined us to validate what we were doing. She has a lot of respect for our company and what we've done. And we opened it up and we started the Utah Glass Association, incorporated it, and transferred the apprenticeship program over
Oh,
to the
okay.
Utah Glass Association.
So you kind of built it and then moved it into an independent organization that can now
Absolutely.
shepherd it. Okay.
And to me, I look at, John, I entered the business in 1982 as a glazer.
Okay.
And so the craftspeople in the shop in the field, I really relate to them because I've been there. I've done that. I've been out in the cold. I've been out in the heat,
Yeah.
um, up in a reach or on a swing stage or something. I love them and I want
Mm.
to see them succeed in their future. So I think that's the employee development program that I'm most proud of that Still Encounters launched.
Awesome. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't hear that. You don't hear that every day. Yeah, you're almost doing work for the rest of the industry and helping people beyond your fence line, if you will, right? Helping
absolutely.
the whole industry. Really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, you know, on the other side of the employee ownership spectrum, right? What are some of the challenges with having a company that is employee owned or ESOP? You mentioned some administration earlier, right? I'm sure
Yes,
that's one. There's a cost.
there is.
There's time associated with that. Any other challenges? Like if somebody was thinking about, hey, maybe an ESOP sounds good as a succession plan for me, what should they be thinking about as a challenge?
Well, the challenge comes down to the transparency
Mm,
because with every employee knowing that they're employee owners, they have a vested interest in how well the company's doing, right?
yeah.
And so we have an annual meeting where we share our financials, we share our successes, but then it can be uncomfortable because not everything goes rosy all the time. We may have a problem project
Mm,
or something that happened, and
industry
sometimes it's
downturn.
hard to share,
Yeah.
and that requires a lot of vulnerability. And sometimes people aren't happy about some of the things that are shared with them. And on the other hand, um, when things are good, everybody's delighted and excited, and but it goes both ways. And that
Mm.
I think is the most challenging aspect of leading an employee-owned company.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're chairman and CEO, but most chairman and CEOs feel like they're accountable to a board or investors, right? Your investors
True.
are also your employees.
Exactly.
So yeah, yeah, there's no secrets, right? You got to have a culture of two-way trust
Right.
to make that happen, I'm sure. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
and would you say I'm curious then, just I'd love to hear about your leadership journey as you've moved in 29 years from Glazier to chairman and CEO. How did your leadership have to evolve through that
Sure.
process?
Well, just clarifying, I was a glazer in 1982.
Huh?
When I came to Steel Encounters, I came here from a competitor as a project manager. So
Okay.
my leadership journey at Steel Encounters began in 1996 as a project manager, and then I took over leadership of the field crew. My boss at that time, Ira Field, said, "Hey, you know what? We need to have you invest in our shop and field people. I want you to lead them."
Mm,
So I started with them, started building their processes, job descriptions, and how to deal with things on the job site. Then started leading our fabrication facility and became the construction manager for the company, overseeing everything in the shop and field. And then operations manager, overseeing project management and all of our scheduling. And then became the division manager of the architectural division in 2011.
Okay.
and joined the executive team at that point as vice president, and joined the board that year. And then in 2016 became president, in 2020 president and CEO. And then I relinquished the president title to Brad Hardy on January
Mhm.
1st this year. I've been the chairman since 2022, chairman of the board.
Yeah.
But this is part of succession planning and showing people that, people are moving up in the company and they're taking on additional roles.
Right. So
And
creating
so,
that. So there
yeah,
wasn't you had the president role before, and now you've separated that,
yes.
right? And you're focused on CEO, chairman, and Brad's got
And
the
for a
president.
very specific reason,
Okay.
Brad Hardy is an operational genius and leadership guy.
Okay.
Um, so he is over operations for the company.
Yeah.
My job is to interface with the board from both directions, actually, and lead the executive team succession planning and our uh, annual strategic plan and our strategic plans for 5 and 10 years. Those are my responsibilities.
Okay.
Strategy.
Okay. Okay. And what was that journey like to move from clearly somebody who knew the nuts and bolts, the exactly what's going on, at a tactical level,
Yeah.
right, to now focused on 5 to 10 years. Tell me about that. Like,
Well, that
what did
that
you have to learn?
was intimidating because you don't know what you don't know,
Mm,
right? And so, if you saw my bookshelf, I've read a lot of books, I've
yeah.
listened to a lot of podcasts, and I've been to a lot of conferences and seminars over the years to fill in the knowledge that I needed to lead for whatever position I was in until leading the company.
Mm,
So now my focus is strategic,
okay.
but there were times when it was operational. And then, as an employee-owned company and the oversight by ERISA, we need to have a lot of knowledge and about how to manage this and manage the funds that are in it
Okay.
and the growth of the company, because this is the employee's nest egg. It's huge responsibility.
Mm,
And so our bylaws, we've gone through our bylaws a couple times but as we became an employee-owned company, we needed to change the focus and the job descriptions of leadership and what our responsibilities are to lead a healthy, profitable organization. Because our ultimate responsibility is to the employees of the company, who are the
yeah.
shareholders.
Yeah.
So there was a lot, and how to build a board.
Okay.
That's a whole nother discussion, how we built our board, but we need the right people with the right skill set on our board. That's very, very important. And so I think we've accomplished that. That's one of the things I'm most proud of over the last uh, 3 years of how we've restructured our board
Okay.
to do this, to oversee it.
Interesting. So I'm wondering, along this journey, was there a stumble or any mistakes that turned into really lessons that you feel like are things that that you pass on as you think about secession?
Sure. Absolutely. We've had some mistakes where we took on unanticipated liability on projects
Mm,
that for some problems that came up. Um, so really, to me, where we start with our proposals for our projects and really thinking through um, and evaluating all the risks in that. And every project has risk. You can't run a business without taking on risk, or you'll never get any work.
yeah.
You can't just pile in unlimited money into projects. You'll never get it. You have to take calculated risks.
Yeah.
So there are some projects that, looking back on, we may have been overly aggressive with some of the pricing, or just in the way that we wrote our proposals. We could have protected ourselves. So there's been some mistakes there,
Mm,
but those have made us better. And I think we're, we know this. We, our project management and estimating teams know this, and we move on. And there will be mistakes in the future. I'm sure there will. But that's what makes you better,
That's life.
right?
Right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, excellent. Um, yeah, that's really great. I'd like to kind of turn the page a little bit and talk about the future, right, about where you're going, where Steel Encounters is going. So, like, what as you'd mentioned strategy, 5 and 10 year strategy before. Um, what's the focus going forward? If everything goes as planned, where do you see the business in 5 years or 10 years?
Well, part of this starts with where we've been.
Okay.
So we have the two revenue divisions, structural and architectural, that buoy each other. It's a balance. Sometimes
Mhm.
one is not doing as well as the other. And so the two divisions carry each other. That's important to understand. The second thing is our structural division has an office in Seattle that was an acquisition of a competitor in 2004.
Yeah.
And the structural division with an office in Seattle and an office here in Salt Lake, both selling work, has been another. The economy in Seattle, sometimes it's up and Salt Lake's
Mhm.
not as well. Salt Lake sometimes is up and Seattle is slow. So there's a regional aspect that that can be very healthy from an economic standpoint.
And a
So when I look at our
diversified.
future,
Mm.
one of the moves that we've made is to diversify our efforts in our architectural division. So we started hiring people in the Northwest in Seattle 3 years ago for sales and project management, to sell work in the Northwest. And we've created a Northwest region, Oregon, Idaho, and Washington for that architectural uh, footprint,
Okay.
so to speak, which has been very good. They've had tremendous sales last year of new work, and they'll be executing it this year. So that was a regional expansion
Okay.
for our architectural division. I can see us making another regional expansion in the next 5 years, for architectural and or for structural. And then I also see that the opportunity for us to add a third revenue division would also be very healthy. Now, who do we owe this to? We owe it to the employee owners.
Mm. Mm.
We've saved money. We have money set aside for growth. And so this is a nest egg that we need to invest in our future, whether it's, regional growth through an acquisition or regional growth organically, like we just did in Seattle.
Okay.
We're working on that, but there are steps that we need to move through, and we have 5 year goals to grow the company for the employees and the employees' prosperity.
Okay. Okay. So I hear you're, yeah, kind of thinking about how to add security, stability through diversification, expanding the top line, right, by
Absolutely.
expanded growth. Oh, that's interesting. Um, yeah. Any other things that you can share directionally, like what success would mean if you get to that 5 year and 10 year?
Well, success would mean that our employees are going to retire
Okay.
with wealth,
Mm.
with wealth from this company. That's what success looks like to me, and you can only do that by executing the work properly and taking care of your customers and properly managing your work to bring it in to return a profit. So that's what success means to me. It's about the employee ownership plan and the prosperity that we want to see for our employees, our shareholders.
Okay.
The second part of that would be the legacy that we leave behind of the fantastic projects that we've built over the years. We've, our structural division processes about 40 jobs a month, John.
Oh.
And And so we're touching a lot of projects around the country, but like you said earlier, those aren't exterior, those are the backbone structure of an office building, a warehouse, a school, a university building. It's the things you don't see,
Yeah.
but there are so many projects we've been involved in all over the Midwest and the West, from a structural standpoint. From an architectural division, we've done a lot of work for the LDS Church. I believe we've been involved in about 20 temples.
Oh,
We did the temple in Guam. We did one in Honduras. We've sold product and shipped it to Brazil. I believe there's another South American company. I think it was a country. I think it was Ecuador. We
right.
shipped product down to, somebody else installed it there. So there's a footprint there, that from a Utah standpoint is important to, a lot of the people here in Utah
Right.
that have no idea
Kind of a
of the work
cornerstone customer, right?
yes, of
Yeah.
that particular customer. So
Mm.
I don't know, there's more. We're hungry for more. What's next? What have we not discovered yet that we can move into, and with calculated precision and risk mitigation, flourishing? There's opportunities out there. We got to look for them. We
Mm.
got to find
Okay.
them.
Yeah, you mentioned some succession work that you've been doing within the company. I'm wondering, for you personally, all right, what's the legacy you're trying to leave for Tom Jackson?
Well, that he did it well. That
Mm.
he set the company up for a successful future. That our next CEO will come internally. It will
Okay.
be, there's some very strong internal candidates to become the next CEO. So for my future, I still will be involved with the company as the chairman, and consulting to the next CEO, or um, anything. I mean, I could come in and help put together a project perhaps in the future. I don't know. There are other things that I have interest in outside the company
Yeah.
that I'm ready to start moving into soon.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there's not moving on and being chairman and being less involved with the company, but still at that highest level strategically. That would be a pleasure, but it's time for future leaders to start moving into and leading the company.
Mm. Yeah.
And that success, that would be part of the legacy for me.
You created those opportunities for people and stepped aside when you needed to.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. That's
And
great.
I have a big project I want to work on when I retire,
Okay.
when I get close to it.
Oh,
And
good.
I'm on I don't know if you're familiar with the rescue mission of Salt Lake. It's a homeless shelter over on Fourth West,
Yeah.
between Fourth and Fifth South. And so I'm on the board of that shelter. Actually, I chair that board also. But we want to find property and get a better facility to serve the homeless clients. And
Mm.
we want to change one life at a time.
I love that. Yeah,
And
it is
that's an important legacy there, that
yeah.
that the rescue mission, Chris Crosswhite there, the director, is doing. And I want to participate with him in that,
That's
and have a
great.
legacy that maybe I can impact some other people in Utah.
I love
Uh,
that. That's definitely a visible, challenging problem here in Utah, right? The
yes,
homeless, and there's seems to be a vacuum, right, of an unmet need, right?
there is.
So it's beautiful that you've got that passion for that, and it seems like you've got the tools, right? In terms of building something, you've got you've got the relevant experience to help with that. That's awesome.
I hope so. I think there's a reason, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, yeah, would you offer any closing advice for anyone? Like just imagine yourself earlier on in your career, somebody really wanting to build something of meaning. What advice would you give that person?
Don't be afraid to do the hard things.
Mm,
Sometimes stepping up and saying, "Hey, I can take this difficult aspect on." There will be failures with that sometimes, and sometimes it can be a grind. But not being afraid to step in and saying, "Hey, you know what? I can do this, and I can resolve this business problem or whatever it is to assume leadership position, but do
mhm,
it with humility. Remember you've got coworkers and other business partners that are coming along with you, but taking that opportunity to take on it can be a simple thing within the company, or it can
mhm,
be a hard thing that takes years. But that would be my advice. And then the second part of that, and this is the most important part for every business leader, is keep that balance between your family and your
mhm.
work. When you
Yeah,
go home, it's your family. Put your work aside,
yeah,
right? That
yeah,
is really, really important.
yeah. That's great. Yeah, it can eat you up, right? If you let it.
It
Uh,
can.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Tom. This has been fantastic. Thanks for joining me at Untold. It's been a pleasure talking with you today. Um, we mentioned a couple videos early on that we'll provide links to. If someone wanted to know more about steel encounters, where would they go?
Well, our website has a showcase of projects that we've done around the city. If
Okay.
you go to our recruiting page, there's more information about the culture of the company and the positions that we have open that we're looking to fill. Um, and of course, our YouTube channel, Still Encounters
Mhm.
YouTube channel, there are a lot of videos on there where you can that showcase our work or showcase our employees or some of the projects that we've been involved with. So that's a fun way to learn more about Still Encounters. I think our
Okay.
videos are very well done. The individual that made most of those is Andy Wiebe. I don't know if you know him with Storyline Films, but he may be a good one to interview because he's been involved in so many businesses around Utah and
Mm,
telling their
okay.
stories
Yeah.
successfully. So, but the quality of our videos speak to Andy's work and how he's helped us. So
Okay.
that would be where I would go to learn more about Still Encounters.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you. And thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
Oh, let me
Uh,
share one other video with you.
yeah, please.
Andy created for me a recruiting video for our apprenticeship program.
Okay.
It is really, really fun. It is so cool. There's a couple of young people in it that are a young man and a young woman, and it's just kind of their story of looking for opportunity to grow. It's very short. I think it's
Okay.
3 minutes or something. That's one of our funnest videos too. That's really a good one.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, I'll get that link from you and put it in the show notes as well. Thank you.
Hey, you're
Awesome,
welcome.
Tom. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, John.